Hello and welcome to Logistic Talks. My name is Eric Gantier. I'm the president of the global sector of engineering and manufacturing. I'm here today with Tom France. He is the vice president of transportation, distribution, and logistics at Trane Technologies. We will discuss together about the challenges of sourcing logistics services over difficult times.
I'm Tom France. I'm the Vice President of Logistics, Distribution, and Transportation for Trane Technologies.
So, Tom, again, thank you very much for being with us this morning. First question to you. We had COVID, we had the capacity constraint, we had the oil gas prices going up, and now we have this unfortunate war in Ukraine. So tell me, how do you plan your logistic over a crisis like we're in today?
Yeah, it seems like the disruptions today just won't go away. I think there's probably 3 or 4 primary things that we focus on. One is, I think everyone struggles with capacity today. I think for us, we invest in not only looking to get capacity through large 3PLs, but also we found that in some instances, small niche providers for specific applications can do really well because they tend to also treat their business like yours. So we look both ways. I think the other thing that's very important is we partner with companies today that will allow us to have visibility through our entire network. It's very important to us to see visibility in motion for all our products so we can see real time where the pinch points are. So if you go into a very large port, the overall performance is kind of interesting, but what really matters is the terminal that you go in and out of. And you need to get down to that node level of detail to be able to take proactive actions around the distribution disruptions that we see today. I think the other thing is cast a wider net in how you procure today. I know for us, we tend to bid out typically in whatever a normal year is, every year or every other year, depending on the mode. But now we're also investing in a hedging strategy, just like you would with a commodity. We do that with our ocean containers now to lock in a guaranteed price because price predictability over a cycle has now become more important than ever. And the other thing is the guaranteed capacity that goes along with it is critical. And the final thing that I would say to everybody right now is don't give up. I think if you look every week, there's arbitrage opportunities in the marketplace, just like your supply chain is disrupted, others are too. So last week where there was no space available in the weeks to follow, there may be now because someone can't meet their commitments. So just be very aggressive talking to all your provider partners around where there's opportunity on a daily and a weekly basis.
Don't give up, eh? Yeah, that's a good advice. Tell me, this capacity constraint, how did that impact your production?
So let's look last year. I would say last year at any point in time, we may have had 100 different components across the world where there were shortages. Fast forward to today, that list is much smaller, much more concentrated. Maybe it's only 15 companies, but it's all electronic and electronic components. That doesn't by itself make it easier or harder. So for us, what we're really doing is trying to compress the cycle of going out there, not only finding new sources of supply, but making sure from an engineering perspective that we can quickly evaluate those and they'll work on our product.
Okay. So Tom, tell me, what are your primary criteria when buying international transportation?
I think the first thing that we look for and the most important is to find companies that share our values, our belief, our work ethic, and our focus. I think that's number one. Number 2 is, I know everyone would say, well, isn't price the most important? And yeah, price is very high today. But I think what you want to have is predictability in price. So to be able to get that, you just really want to be able to have a long-term commitment with a provider and know that you're in the competitive range. Because if you have the consistency of price, at least it gives the business an opportunity to price for the products around something that's certain. I think the next most important thing probably around this is work with companies that are committed to the tools that you use to eliminate variability and provide visibility into the network. The one thing that I would say about variability is variability is really the enemy of supply chain. Variability is what causes people to either stock too much or not enough. Variability in logistics causes disruption in the manufacturing process. Variability leads to premium freight. If you solve variability, you lower your costs. If you solve variability, you win the supply chain game. So that's, in my mind, that is the most important thing, to work with companies that can lower your variability across a very complex transaction.
So let me be a little bit more tactical maybe on the next question. How do you ensure that time-critical shipments are going to be delivered on time over this crisis?
Yeah, it's really tough. As we talked about before with variability, I think the most important thing people can do today is to not only what I mentioned before, is invest in partnerships that reduce variability, but invest in visibility tools. At Trane, we have made sure we have robust visibility tools that not only tell us where the product is now, but at the component level, not the container level, not the shipment level, but at the component level. Where is it now? And with predictive analytics of when will it arrive? Because if you have that information early that's a disruption, then you have all sorts of opportunities to decide with less pressure on what you want to do. Do you want to expedite that from a port, right, with team drivers? Do you want to fly, but on deferred air, not next day air, right? Do you want to change your sourcing strategy? Do you want to get a bigger buy next time? Do you want to look at a different route or a lane? All of that information gives you power. And you need to bring that to bear with some type of a visibility tool that has what I call beautiful software, like all the social media out there, something that draws you in, gives you one version of the truth that you can use to collaborate with your partners.
Tom, let's go back to something you mentioned earlier in the conversation, which has to do with these tools and technology. Have you at Trane over these last 2 years developed new tools and technology? I'm thinking about the blockchain, IoT, big data.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that things like blockchain are a bit far removed from us, where we kind of are on the maturity curve. We're sort of moving up it yet. So we've invested in a lot of visibility tools that will tell us real time what our variability is, because we can now search for solutions at a 98% 4 or 5 confidence level where we know exactly what the transit time will be. We can manage our supply chain through that. So I think there are great ground and ocean visibility tools, and linking those to the partners, one version of the truth, easy to collaborate, gives us real power. The other thing is on demand planning. I think most companies probably now have seen that if you look at inventory and focus on, and most companies tend to do this, in one area, like the bin closest to where they manufacture, that's not unimportant. But to be able to look at inventory uniformly across your entire supply chain is very powerful. So there's a lot of great demand planning solutions that have that capability and can look into your tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers as well too. Those are the kind of things that we are investing in now.
Okay. Would you say that this crisis has put more emphasis on the role of logistic within Trane?
I think it's put more awareness around how logistics can be used to win or lose the game. I think for us, it's, in the C-suite, there's more attention now on what can we do to minimize the cost? What can we do to reduce the variability? What can we do to improve the lead time on logistics and make up for the part that the suppliers can't? How can that be part of your winning strategy?
Do you think there is any changes you made on your supply chain, on your logistics, that will keep going after when this crisis is going to end?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I think how we procure, the ability to hedge, the longer-term strategic partnerships, and the ability to use the visibility tools will always be part of the process. And what I would tell anyone is, I think wherever I've been, those are always been my focuses. And I think that consistency of purpose serves you well, rather than, and it may be something different for you or your company, but a consistency of purpose to keep that day in, day out, year in, year out, I think is the winning strategy here, rather than running from now we have a crisis, now we don't, now costs are up, now costs are down. I think that's the most important thing.
So the costs now are up. What do you do to ensure that the cost of logistics for Trane are not totally exploding?
Yeah, so a couple things there. One is, logistics 101 for everyone is, don't ship air, don't ship water, consolidate, consolidate, consolidate. I think everybody knows that. I don't think that's a revolutionary statement. But then the question is how do you get that consolidation and how do you get that lower cost given all the constraints you have? So I think there's a lot of tools in people's toolboxes that they have, most of which they don't use. On the truck side, point-to-point solutions do work good. But have you looked at dedicated? Have you looked at continuous moves? Have you looked at closed loop routing? Have you looked at shuttle services? And if you don't know how to do those, there are either 3PLs that can help you with that, or there is software to model your network and tell you where you have those opportunities. So you have a head haul and a back haul. You can be more efficient. You can reduce your costs. I think those are the kind of things that are really important. And then packaging, while it may not have always been in the forethought, packaging today will allow you to consolidate more than you ever have in the past. Are you double stacking everything or triple stacking in your containers? You certainly need to fill it up. And know your benchmarks for your industry. What is full for you? What should your lead time be? What should your should cost be? And work towards those things. I think those are the important things that people need to focus on today.
Thank you, Tom. Look, with everything you shared with us this morning and the experience you have in the logistic, I hope you brought your crystal ball because I have a question for you. When is this crisis going to end?
Yeah, I don't have a crystal ball there. And I think that if anybody does, I'd like to know them because they're going to make a lot of money. I think that some of the disruptions that we see today will be with us for a long time to come. More than anything, there is a lack of capacity in the marketplace. And even if the pandemic was declared over today, even if the war in Ukraine, which I hope is over tomorrow, the disruptions that we see because of the capacity issues that take a long time to correct itself and are systemic will not reverse overnight. The shortage of trailers, the shortage of drivers, the shortage of dray assets, the shortage of ocean availability, and the struggle that I'm sure many companies are having with becoming compliant right now to sustainability targets too. So that's not going away anytime soon. So I think the variability and the uncertainty that we live with will be the watchwords that will determine the success of all logisticians in the future.
Tom, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure to be with you this morning.
Thank you. I appreciate it.